The stars stretched endlessly beyond the viewports of the Aegis, twinkling like scattered diamonds across black velvet. Captain Elias Voss sat alone in the communication deck, his fingers hovering over the console. The hum of the ship was a familiar comfort, but tonight, it seemed different, full of quiet tension, like the universe itself was holding its breath. Elias had spent most of his adult life in space, among the human colonies that struggled to survive in the outskirts of the galaxy. Humans were small in number compared to the alien coalition that dominated the stars. But that never stopped them from resisting. Each colony, each ship, each person fought in their own way. Elias had been a soldier, a scout, and now, a communicator, a link between hope and survival. Tonight, the signal came through. It started faintly, barely noticeable amidst the usual background static that plagued deep space communication. At first, it seemed like interference, random noise from distant pulsars or forgotten satellites. But Elias's trained ears picked up a pattern, subtle but deliberate, unlike anything he had encountered. There was a cadence, a rhythm, almost musical, and then he heard it, a voice. The voice was calm, gentle, and strangely warm. There was no urgency, no command, only reassurance. It spoke in a language Elias could not fully recognize, yet every tone, every pause felt familiar, like a memory from another life. For a moment he simply listened, forgetting the stars, the ship, the dangers surrounding humanity. It was as if the voice reached inside him and whispered, "You are not alone." "Commander." A voice crackled through the intercom. "We're picking up unusual readings on the long-range scanners. It's coming from the Zeta sector." Elias straightened, blinking away the strange calm that had washed over him. "Put it on the main console. I want to see everything." A holographic map of the sector appeared, dotted with familiar star systems and uncharted regions. The signal pulsed softly on the display, faint but steady. Unlike other transmissions, it did not spike in intensity or contain identifiable coordinates. Yet it was persistent. Someone or something was sending it intentionally. Elias leaned closer, trying to decipher its rhythm. Every pulse, every tone seemed to carry emotion, not just data, hope, comfort, strength. He frowned, a knot forming in his stomach. Who would send a message like this? Not the Coalition, not any human colony I know. Far away on the research station Helios 7, Dr. Leora Kale adjusted her glasses as she stared at a similar readout. She had been studying ancient human communication methods, trying to understand why some patterns of sound could evoke emotion, while others were neutral. Her work was quiet, unnoticed by most, but crucial. When she heard the first pulse of the signal, she felt a shiver run down her spine. Leora's analytical mind raced as she examined the frequencies, the repetitions, and the subtle variations. "It's designed," she whispered to herself. "Someone intended this to be comforting. Someone wants to reach the human mind directly." Her fingers flew over the console, isolating sections of the signal, amplifying the faint pulses, and breaking it down into understandable fragments. The effect was immediate. Her breathing slowed, and a rare, peaceful smile touched her lips. It had been months since she felt anything resembling calm. The collapse of colonies, the constant threat from the Coalition, and the endless pressure of her research had left her hollow. Yet this voice, soft, steady, human in its cadence, made her forget the fear, if only for a moment. Back aboard the Aegis, Elias tried to record the transmission, to replay it without losing the subtle inflections. But the voice seemed almost alive, shifting slightly with each repetition. He frowned. "It's like it's responding." "To me." He paused and spoke aloud, almost reflexively. "I hear you. I hear you." The signal changed again, a gentle rise and fall, almost like a sigh. Elias's heart quickened. He had always been practical, grounded, focused on survival, yet now in the quiet of the ship he felt a strange connection to something far away. Something or someone was reaching across light years and speaking directly to the human part of him. On Helios 7, Leora's fingers froze on the console. "It's responding to me, too," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. She couldn't explain it. She had never heard anything like this. It wasn't artificial intelligence, at least not entirely. It had intention, awareness, warmth, and yet it felt human. The next day, the decision was made. The human colonies needed to know about the signal, and someone had to trace it. Command assigned Elias to coordinate with the research station. He would travel to Helios 7 and work directly with Dr. Kyle. The first time he saw her, it was through the ship's docking viewport, a figure standing in the sunlight that filtered through the station's massive solar arrays. She was unassuming, but her posture was confident. And then she smiled. It was not a casual smile, not a polite acknowledgement. It was brief, fleeting, yet genuine, like a spark in the darkness. Elias felt something shift inside him, a sense of purpose he hadn't realized he had lost. Leora, in turn, felt it too. She had spent years surrounded by equipment, by calculations, by data. Rarely did she meet someone whose presence did not demand an explanation, whose mere being made her feel at ease. Elias spoke calmly, clearly, his voice steady and measured. He did not try to impress her with jargon or authority. He simply communicated, and in his words she found something she hadn't felt in months: peace. Their work began immediately. Together they isolated sections of the signal, tested different translations, and compared responses. The more they listened, the more they realized that the signal was not a simple message. It was an intricate tapestry of sound, a subtle emotional guide designed to calm fear, inspire courage, and strengthen determination. "You think someone created this, for humans?" Elias asked one evening, leaning back in his chair as the artificial light of the station cast long shadows across the deck. Leora nodded slowly. "Yes, but not for the colonies we know. For something older, something that survived the first wave of the coalition." Elias frowned. "A lost human colony?" "Possibly," she replied. "Or a hidden outpost. Whoever it is, they understand something we've almost forgotten. Humans are stronger when we are connected, when we support each other emotionally as well as physically." The revelation was sobering. The galaxy was full of dangers, full of alien intelligence that did not care for human emotion, for courage or hope. And yet somewhere, a human, or humans, had discovered a way to reach across that darkness and remind humanity of its greatest strength: its heart. Days turned into nights. Though aboard the station, night was only a change in lighting. The two of them spent hours analyzing the signal, often in silence. The small moments became meaningful: the way Elias adjusted a console with care, the way Leora's smile appeared when a translation succeeded. There was no romance, no overt sentimentality, only a quiet acknowledgement of each other's presence, a shared understanding that they were not alone in this vast, uncaring galaxy. And slowly the truth began to emerge. The signal was a guide not just for survival but for action. Embedded within its gentle tones were patterns of navigation, hints of hidden resources, and strategies to avoid the coalition's patrols. Whoever sent it had known humanity would need more than courage. They would need knowledge, carefully packaged in a way that only humans could receive without panic or fear. Elias felt a thrill he had not experienced since his days on the front lines. This was bigger than any battle, bigger than any colony. It was a chance to reconnect humanity with itself, to give hope when hope seemed impossible. And with Leora by his side, calm and determined, he realized something profound. He could not do this alone. She was part of the signal's power, not because she sent it, but because she could understand it, amplify it, and share it. As the first part of the signal completed its cycle, a new pulse came through. It was stronger, clearer, and somehow more intimate. Elias listened carefully, noting every inflection. Leora mirrored him, her eyes widening as she understood what he had already felt. The voice was calling them forward, urging them to take the first step in a journey that would change humanity's future. For the first time in a long time, both of them smiled. Not out of relief, not out of joy, but because they knew that, despite the dangers ahead, humanity was not yet lost. The voice had found them, and in turn they had found each other, a quiet anchor in a galaxy of uncertainty. The signal pulsed again, and Elias spoke softly, almost instinctively. "We hear you." "We'll follow," Leora nodded, her smile steady. "And we'll make sure humanity listens too." Somewhere, far beyond the reach of known space, the sender of the voice waited, unaware of the two humans who had answered the call. But their journey had already begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The stars outside Helios 7 were cold and silent, but inside the research station a quiet energy pulsed through the air. Elias Voss and Leora Kyle worked side by side, their focus completely absorbed by the mysterious signal that had brought them together. Days blurred into nights as they isolated patterns, traced frequencies and recorded subtle changes. The signal had grown stronger. Its voice no longer felt distant. It seemed to respond to them, adjusting its rhythm when they spoke or paused. Elias could feel the vibrations through the floor of the station, like the heartbeat of something alive. Leora noticed it too. The signal was no longer just a message. It was almost a companion, guiding them forward in ways they could not yet fully understand. One evening, as artificial lights glowed softly above their workstations, Elias stretched and rubbed his temples. "I don't think I've ever seen anything like this," he said, his voice quiet but edged with excitement. It's alive, Leora. It's alive and it knows us." Leora looked up, her tired eyes catching his gaze. For a moment, the weight of all their work, the pressure of humanity's survival, and the constant threat of the alien coalition melted away. She smiled, small but warm, and Elias felt a surprising sense of calm. "You're not imagining it," she said softly. "It's reacting to us, to our emotions, our voices, even our presence. Whoever or whatever sent this knew how humans think, how we feel, how we survive." They fell silent, each lost in thought. Elias had spent years in combat, fighting for survival in the far reaches of the galaxy, and yet he had never faced something like this. This was not about weapons, strategy, or strength. It was about understanding, empathy, and connection. Days later, they decided to test a theory. If the signal could respond to emotions, could it guide them to its source? They recorded messages of hope, courage, and determination, and transmitted them back through the signal's frequency. Almost immediately, subtle changes appeared in the waveform, rises and falls that seemed like responses or perhaps directions. "It's like it's guiding us," Elias whispered, eyes wide. "We're not just receiving a message, we're being led." Leora nodded, her fingers hovering over the controls. "We need to follow it. Carefully, but we need to know where it comes from." The two of them prepared the station's small shuttle for the journey. Supplies were packed, data logs copied, and emergency protocols reviewed. As they stood side by side in the docking bay, Elias caught her gaze. "You're ready for this?" he asked, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "I've never felt more ready," Leora replied, returning his smile. Her words were simple, but the warmth in her tone made Elias feel a renewed sense of purpose. She was not just a colleague, she was a partner in this mission, someone who understood that survival alone was not enough. Humanity needed more than life. It needed hope. The shuttle lifted off, leaving Helios 7 behind, and the stars stretched endlessly before them. The journey was tense, each passing light year bringing them closer to the unknown. The signal pulsed regularly, almost like a heartbeat, guiding them through asteroid fields and nebulae, past dangerous gravitational wells that could easily crush an unprepared ship. During one long shift, Elias and Leora worked in silence, monitoring the signal's frequency and navigating through a particularly dense asteroid belt. The shuttle jolted suddenly, sending them both forward in their seats. Elias's hand shot out, steadying the controls while Leora grabbed a console edge to avoid falling. "We'll make it," he said, his voice calm, though his heart raced. "The signal knows the safest path." Leora exhaled slowly, her fingers trembling slightly. "It's guiding us, Elias. It's really guiding us." Their bond grew quietly during these moments. Elias's voice, steady and reassuring, became a source of calm for Leora during turbulence and danger. In turn, Leora's smile, fleeting but genuine, gave him purpose beyond the mission. He realized that the signal was not only teaching them about survival, but also about themselves. Humans were strongest when they supported each other, when they shared courage, empathy, and trust. One night, as the shuttle drifted through the darkness between two star clusters, Leora leaned back in her chair, her eyes distant. "Do you ever think about the first humans who might have sent this signal?" she asked softly. "The ones who survived, hidden somewhere in the galaxy?" Elias paused, considering. "I do," he admitted. "And I think they must have been like us. Ordinary humans facing impossible odds but refusing to give up. They understood what the coalition could not destroy, the human spirit. They knew hope was stronger than fear." Leora smiled faintly, her gaze returning to him. "And now we're part of that," she said. "We're carrying that hope forward." The signal began to change subtly as they neared an uncharted system. The voice grew stronger, clearer, more insistent, almost as if it recognized their determination. It pulsed in a rhythmic pattern, highlighting certain star systems, asteroid belts, and hidden gravitational pockets. They followed the pattern, careful not to stray, until a massive, rocky planet appeared on their sensors, one uncharted and completely isolated. "This is it," Elias said, a mixture of awe and tension in his voice. "The signal is coming from there," Leora nodded. "It's a human outpost. I can feel it. Not a colony, not a research station. Something older, something hidden." Landing on the rocky surface was challenging. The planet's thin atmosphere made maneuvering difficult, and jagged terrain threatened to damage the shuttle. But guided by the signal and their careful coordination, they landed safely near a massive structure partially buried in the rock. The building looked ancient, built from materials older than most human colonies, yet it hummed with energy, faint, constant, and familiar. Inside, the outpost was quiet but not abandoned. Consoles glowed softly. Walls were lined with archives, and faint traces of life support systems indicated that someone, or something, had been here recently. Elias and Leora exchanged a glance, both sensing the importance of this discovery. As they explored further, Leora reached a console displaying the same patterns as the signal. "It's a library," she whispered. "Knowledge, history, and strategies preserved and waiting. Whoever built this knew humans would need guidance in the future." Elias ran his hand over the console, feeling the pulse of energy beneath his fingertips. "It's incredible. All this time, someone kept hope alive, just waiting for us to find it." Leora smiled, and Elias felt that same sense of purpose deepen within him. The smile was simple, quiet, but in it he found something stronger than courage, stronger than skill. He found meaning. Humanity's survival was no longer just about fighting. It was about understanding, sharing, and carrying forward the human spirit. As they began transferring data to their shuttle, preparing to take the knowledge back to the colonies, the signal pulsed once more. This time it was stronger than ever, as if acknowledging their success. They could almost hear it saying, "You have found what we hid. Now bring it to your people." For the first time in a long time, both Elias and Leora laughed, a short, relieved sound, not from humor, but from the release of tension. Together they had reached the hidden outpost, uncovered the signal's secrets, and discovered that humans were capable of more than survival. They could inspire, connect, and endure against all odds. As they prepared to leave the planet, Elias spoke softly, almost to himself. "We're not alone, Leora, not really. Humanity has always had this spark, and we're carrying it forward." Leora nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "And together we'll make sure the rest of humanity feels it too." The shuttle lifted off, leaving the rocky planet behind. The stars stretched endlessly before them, but now they felt less empty. The signal pulsed alongside them, a guide, a reminder, and a promise. Elias and Leora had followed it this far, and together they would continue, carrying hope, courage, and the human spirit across the galaxy. The bond between them was quiet, unspoken, but undeniable. His voice gave her peace. Her smile gave him purpose, and in the dark expanse of space that was more powerful than any weapon, any technology, any plan. The shuttle hummed steadily as it carried Elias and Leora back toward the human colonies. Data from the hidden outpost filled their consoles, glowing softly under their fingers. Every record, every pattern, every pulse of the mysterious signal now had context. This was more than a message, it was a guide for humanity's survival, carefully preserved by those who understood the importance of hope. Yet, even as they prepared to deliver the knowledge, a new danger loomed. Scouts from the alien coalition had detected unusual activity in the sector. Reports of human ships moving with unexpected coordination had reached their central command. They would not allow this discovery to spread. Elias and Leora knew they had little time. "Elias," Leora said, her voice tense but steady. "If the coalition finds this outpost, everything we've discovered will be lost. We have to move fast." He nodded, his jaw tight. "We'll make it. We have to." The shuttle's engines flared as they plotted a course through an asteroid field, the path illuminated by the pulse of the signal itself. The voice guided them like a beacon, offering routes that minimized detection and maximized safety. For hours they navigated silently, trusting the guidance, their focus absolute. During the quiet stretches they talked in hushed tones, sharing stories of their past, of losses and victories, and dreams of what humanity could become. These conversations strengthened their bond, giving them a connection that was unspoken but profoundly understood. Elias's calm presence grounded Leora, while her optimism and warmth reminded him why humans fought, not just to survive, but to live with meaning. Suddenly, the sensors blared. Alien ships appeared on every trajectory, closing in faster than expected. "They found us," Elias said, voice grim. "We need to fight. Or hide." Leora's fingers flew over the shuttle's controls, initiating evasive maneuvers. The shuttle darted among asteroids, weaving unpredictably. The alien ships fired, their energy blasts slicing through space with deadly precision. Elias's heart pounded, but his voice remained steady as he gave instructions. "Left thrust 3 degrees. Brace for impact if necessary. We'll follow the signal. It knows the path," he said, calm but commanding. Leora executed each maneuver perfectly, her hands moving like extensions of the shuttle itself. "The signal. It's guiding us," she whispered, as another blast skimmed past them. "It's keeping us safe." Hours passed in tense coordination, until finally the aliens were outmaneuvered, left behind in the twisting path of asteroids. Both of them exhaled, relief flooding their bodies, but they knew the threat was not gone. The signal pulsed stronger now, almost like encouragement, urging them onward toward the colonies. When they reached the first human colony, they began transmitting the data from the outpost. The signal's voice intertwined with the new broadcasts reaching humans across star systems. Messages of hope, calm, and courage spread like wildfire. Colonies that had been isolated for decades suddenly found themselves connected, coordinated, and ready. The effect was immediate. Colonists reported feeling strength and determination they had thought lost. Panic faded, replaced by clarity and courage. For the first time, humans weren't just surviving, they were uniting. As the broadcast continued, Elias turned to Leora. "We did it," he said, though he didn't need to. The glow in her eyes, the steady strength in her posture said it all. She smiled, faint but radiant, and he felt the weight of all his years of struggle lift. "You did more than survive, Elias," Leora said softly. "You helped humanity remember who we are. And so did this signal. And so did we." Their bond, forged in long hours of work, danger, and trust, now felt unbreakable. Elias realized that the purpose he had thought lost during years of battles had returned. Not through victory or strategy, but through connection, empathy, and hope. Leora's presence, her understanding, and her simple, genuine smile had given him that clarity. Yet, the coalition was not finished. As they prepared to leave the colony for the next larger human settlements, a massive fleet appeared on the horizon. The aliens had coordinated an all-out strike to destroy humanity's newfound network. Panic threatened to rise among the colonists, but Elias and Leora remained calm. "Follow the signal," Elias instructed. "It's more than just guidance, it's a plan. We'll give humanity a chance." The next few hours were a test of everything they had learned. The signal led them to weak points in the alien fleet, allowing small human ships to evade capture. Elias coordinated maneuvers using his calm voice to guide thousands of humans across the colonies, while Leora amplified the signal, ensuring that hope reached every corner. In the midst of chaos, small acts of human ingenuity began to shine. Colonists adapted the old outpost technology, creating decoys, shields, and energy pulses that confused the alien sensors. Every human ship that survived and evaded the attack added to the growing chain of resistance. Elias looked at Leora, his expression serious but proud. This is what humans do. We survive not just with weapons, but with courage, creativity, and trust in each other." She nodded, smiling faintly, exhaustion in her eyes but unbroken spirit. "And we'll keep doing it. The colonies are connected now. Humanity is awake again." As the alien fleet began to retreat, outmaneuvered and confused by the coordinated human response, Elias and Leora knew the turning point had come. Humanity had not only survived, they had proven that their spirit could withstand oppression, fear, and isolation. The signal pulsed one last time, strong and steady, as if acknowledging their success. It carried a simple message, clear in its resonance: you are not alone. Humanity endures. For Elias and Leora, that message carried an even deeper meaning. She had found peace in his calm, unwavering voice, a grounding force in the storm of uncertainty. He had found purpose in her smile, a spark that reminded him why humans fought and why they mattered. Together they had not only uncovered a secret that could save humanity, they had become the embodiment of the very hope the signal carried. Weeks later, as the colonies began rebuilding, Elias and Leora traveled between them, ensuring that the signal reached every corner of human space. They were no longer just individuals in the vast galaxy. They were messengers of courage, calm, and unity. Humans everywhere began to understand that their greatest strength was not in technology, not in numbers and not in weapons, but in empathy, hope, and connection. One evening, after a long day of coordinating new settlements and sharing the knowledge of the outpost, Elias and Leora stood together on the deck of a colony ship, watching stars drift past. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers, but it felt alive, full of possibilities. Elias turned to her, voice steady, but filled with quiet emotion. "We've done more than survive, Leora. We've reminded humanity of who we are, and I found something else. I found purpose again." She smiled, simple and warm, lighting up her face. "And I found peace," she replied, "in you and what we've done, and in knowing humanity can endure." For a long moment they stood in silence, the hum of the colony ship beneath their feet and the endless stars around them. In the heart of the galaxy, two humans had discovered something more powerful than fear or war. They had discovered connection, resilience, and hope, and humanity, guided by the signal and inspired by their courage, was ready to rise again. In the quiet, Elias spoke softly, almost to himself. "The galaxy may be vast, but humanity has its heart, and as long as we carry that, we will never be alone." Leora's smile deepened and she placed her hand lightly over his, "And together we will make sure no one forgets that." Somewhere far beyond the reach of even the most advanced sensors, the signal pulsed one final time, a gentle, unwavering echo of human spirit. The voice had reached its purpose, and humanity, for the first time in generations, felt truly awake. The journey had been perilous, but Elias and Leora had proven that humans were not only survivors, they were beacons of hope, courage and resilience in a galaxy that often seemed dark and unyielding. And in that truth, they had both found what they had been searching for all along.